Welcome to another installment of Weekend Alchemy. Solarah here. I hope you guys are doing well today. A very happy Mother's Day to those of you in the US who are celebrating today. I'm sending my love to all of you who, this day is difficult for, whether it's because you struggle in the relationship with your own mother, whether you're struggling as a mother, whether you desire to become a mother. There's so many things that go unspoken, invisible battles that we're fighting, invisible scars that no longer people can't see, but it doesn't mean that they fade. And so I send each and every one of you love for all the ways that you still need to heal that part of self so that you can feel like you're whole again and like you can feel safe in your own vessel and it can become your home again. And that is kind of the theme of today's article. Before I get into it, I'd like to make a quick announcement in the same vein of or subject matter. I am hosting my first Karmic Mother Recovery small group next Saturday, the 18th of May. There are 10 seats available. I think there are presently 9 left. So if you would like to join me and other beings for a time of sharing, reflection, guidance, I'll be pulling cards also, then please make sure to book yourself a place, okay? So the title for today's Mother's Day edition of Weekend Alchemy is Building a True Home. Overcoming the deepest mother wound of the false matrix. And a very special thank you and shout out to Angela Nibley, who posted a meme that I included if you have access to the Substack article in print. Our mothers are our first taste of home as we make the sojourn out of purely spirit into matter. They are the first anchoring point of our earthly existence, and they are the main parent put in charge of how our cells form and bring us into the wholeness of the bodies and vessels that will become our true homes in this lifetime. That is no small task biologically, but it also holds a spiritual weight and gravitas that I don't think most fully grasp. The false matrix was a false mother system designed to take the sacredness, sanctity, and divine purpose of motherhood and distort it into programs whereby mothers were so deeply wounded that they had no choice but to pass that wounding on to their children. Some did it more consciously and ferociously than others, but all did it to varying degrees, myself included. The systems and traditions within our world were set up for mothers to fail at their true task of mothering. They were set up to get women to adhere to doctrines, dogmas, and traditions whereby they sought to get answers on how to parent and shepherd the souls of their children from their own wounded childhood experiences and the many child-rearing programs and philosophies of the false matrix. Unbeknownst to most, the wisdom and guidelines for motherhood in our world were not designed to help mothers to find and maximize the true divine treasure and gifts within their children, but to program them into the necessary settings needed for the furtherance of the false matrix's trauma cycles and nefarious psyop agendas. These false matrix programs played on the vulnerability that is instinctive in most mothers, even the most wounded ones. We want to do the best for our children, but we really don't know how. This sense of helplessness is what drives some women into becoming the very antithesis of what a true mother should be in obvious ways, but it also drove many women to abandon their own intuition and internal guidance as they were covertly bullied into believing that their maternal instinct was weaker than the many prescriptions that the false matrix doled out and professed to be the healthy way to bring up children. Furthermore, we leave little room for mothers to heal their own deepest mother wounds so that they can show up and truly be there for their children, because we have created a society in which mothers become untouchable by virtue of that title alone. We make it so that everyone is supposed to love and revere their mothers, even when these women are sometimes the ones who had a hand in simultaneously birthing and destroying us. Without the room and allowance for real conversation surrounding how we struggle as mothers, both to ourselves, our creations, and our offspring, and have also been failed by our mothers, we stay trapped in pain, oftentimes repeating the same cycles and stories that wounded us as children and continue to keep us captive as adults when we are unable to find true resolution. Today is a day that I believe is more difficult than many would want us to believe. Yes, the Mother's Day memes and greetings are in heavy circulation, but behind those beautiful words and well wishes sometimes reside inner children still pining for a touch from their mother that comes from a place of pure, unconditional love instead of hidden angst, contempt, and confusion. As a child, I never fully vibed with the holiday calendar of the false matrix, save for Christmas. Christmas was always my jam because of all the lights specifically. I remember feeling so conflicted when it came time to write in cards on Mother's Day or for my mother's birthday. I still joke with my children that Hallmark is missing a very vital, it's complicated market in its production of cards. I always found it hard to force myself to write things I no longer felt to a woman who had given me much of her time, but little of her heart. My first true love was my mother, and at every turn she rejected my beauty, power, intellect, and affection. Still does. I don't blame her. I can see why it's hard. Her mother broke her heart in selfish and unscrupulous ways too. And right up until the end of my maternal grandmother's life, my mother was financially supporting and looking after her, honoring her mother like the Bible taught her to. And she found great pride in taking that stance, but no real healing, as she never owned or directed her righteous anger and pain in truth. I, on the other hand, refused to be silent. Once I saw clearly how my mother had not only programmed me into my own self-rejection and self-hatred settings, but that she sought to use my emotional connection to her to keep me in that place, I flipped the script. I spoke my truth and it rattled her to the core. I told her how I knew she hated me, which she of course denied. However, I have never felt anything but hatred spewing forth from her eyes when she looks at me. Her disdain for me is so strong that once upon a time, one glance from her would send me into a tailspin fueled by complete self-loathing and disgust for who I was. It took me a while to realize that those were not my true thoughts and feelings for myself, but her projections. It took a lot of healing work and rituals to unfuck myself out of the self-destruction programming that my chief programmer had initially established in me and that I had run away with and built a messy life upon. It took a lot for me to get to the place where today I find myself temporarily under the same roof as her and completely unmoved by the old tricks and cues that had been used my whole life to disempower, belittle, and control me. My children must be given a lot of credit for my ability to rise and heal. Before becoming a mother myself, I lived wanting to die. I had been so starved of real love, deprived of the affection I needed to thrive, that suicide mode had been activated in me at the tender age of 6. It wasn't until my daughter and son came into the world that I knew what love was and that I was even worthy of it. My children gave me the desire to not only live again, but the impetus to heal and become a mother who is worthy of their treasure and glory. My whole life I have felt like a house without a roof or solid foundation. This feeling spread into everything I sought to do and create. I couldn't make anything root and grow. I didn't realize that this was a reflection of the state of the home my mother had built for me energetically. Our mother's bodies are the first homes we make on the earth planes as we ready our own in utero. Upon birth, our home is further established and decorated based upon our parents' tutelage, guidance, and decor choices. When we come of age, we should have a home constructed within ourselves that, thanks to our parents, feels secure and safe, and that has the foundation we need to go out into the world, share our gifts and talents confidently, and thrive. As I sun-gazed this morning, I realized how, for the first time in my 41 Earth years of life, I feel safe in my vessel. I feel safe in my home. I give myself and my children full credit for helping me to get to this place when the woman I call mother seemed determined to continually keep me without the roof and firm foundation I needed to even begin to feel secure in who I am. And yet she did provide me with my starter home. For that I will be forever grateful. And though she hindered and destroyed more than she loved and affirmed, the mother in me has compassion for the rejected and ridiculed child within her. I hope she heals and rises too. I hope she has the strength and courage to deal with the shame she couldn't hold for herself all these decades, and so she fed to me instead. I hope she makes a new home for her shadow, because I'll no longer allow for it to squat with me. I hope she finds love so real that it brings her soul back to life and reminds her that she has always been worth fighting for. I won't be staying around to see if this occurs, but I do wish her the best nonetheless. Ashe. For access to all of my articles and installments in full, please make sure to check me out on Substack at dailyalchemy.substack.com. For all of you who choose to become monthly or annual patrons, you will have continual access to these articles as they are published, as well as to the full archive of all my articles, decrees, as well as my works of nonfiction and poetry. Every month, my patrons also get the opportunity to connect with me in a group Q&A via video link. So if you feel that that would be helpful on your healing and ascension journey, please make sure to check me out on dailyalchemy.substack.com. Wishing you guys all a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day.